Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
He's sending Marty 30 years back in time.
It worked!
Back to the Future isn't just a cult classic. It's a legendary time travel adventure that has won over fans for decades. But even the most dedicated fans probably don't know some behind-the-scenes secrets the cast recently shared. From hidden details about the characters to unexpected moments on set, these stories bring a fresh twist to the beloved trilogy. Let's dive into the details that fans have never and still haven't figured out. The making of the time machine. When people think of Back to the Future, they usually picture that shiny silver DeLorean speeding down the road, leaving behind fiery tire marks as it jumps into another era. That car became a pop culture icon, almost as well known as the characters themselves. However, believe it or not, the DeLorean wasn't part of the original plan, and many fans are unaware of this. Initially, the time machine appeared quite different. It wasn't even a car. In the early versions of the script, the time machine was more like a time chamber. At one point, the writers imagined it as a refrigerator. The idea was that the characters would step into this large, clunky device to travel through time. It had more of a science fiction lab vibe, kind of like something straight out of a 1950s B-movie. Sure, the fridge idea fit the usual science fiction style, but it lacked the energy and excitement the movie needed. Plus, who would drag a refrigerator around for time travel adventures? That's where the need for mobility started to reshape the story. The filmmakers, Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, quickly saw the problem. A big, bulky fridge couldn't deliver the action or fun they were going for. The picture of Doc Brown trying to haul a refrigerator to the clock tower during a lightning storm isn't exactly thrilling. They needed something that could move, something cool, and something a teenager would actually care about. That's when the DeLorean came into the picture. The DeLorean DC-12 already stood out in real life. Its shiny stainless steel body, low design, and famous gull-wing doors made it look like it belonged in the future. Even though the car had already been discontinued, it looked ready to travel through time without effects. The filmmakers jumped at the idea. It was more than the car's style. It was about giving the time machine a personality. By turning it into a car, they made it more than just a tool for the plot. The DeLorean became a character on its own. Choosing that car also led to some of the movie's most unforgettable moments. For example, the scenes where it races to 88 miles per hour, the trail of fire left on the road and the glowing flux capacitor inside. All of that added to the magic and visual excitement. The DeLorean made time travel feel cool, a little dangerous, and a lot of fun. It helped sell the whole idea of the movie, especially to younger viewers who were more interested in adventure than whether the science made sense. It's almost impossible now to picture Back to the Future without that car. The DeLorean is so tied to the movie's identity that imagining a refrigerator doing the time traveling just sounds ridiculous. However, that's the magic of creativity. The pitch nobody wanted. Getting Back to the Future onto the big screen wasn't easy. When Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale first came up with the idea, it felt fresh, exciting, and unlike anything else. But the movie studios didn't really know what to do with it. The story had time travel, oddball characters, and a mix of science fiction and comedy. Basically, it didn't fit into a single, clear category. And that made a lot of studio executives nervous. They weren't sure how to market something that didn't follow the usual rules. Zemeckis and Gale pitched the movie to several studios, but most of them said no. Some thought the idea was just too strange. Others felt it was too confusing for regular audiences. A few believed the characters, especially the teenager Marty McFly, wouldn't connect with viewers. There were also concerns about the special effects. Some thought they'd cost too much or be too hard to make look realistic. The tone of the movie was also hard to get right. It mixed humor with real emotion, and that kind of balance isn't easy. Studios usually go for safer choices, and this script felt like a gamble. What really kept the project alive was the determination and belief of a few key people, especially director Robert Zemeckis and producer Steven Spielberg. Spielberg's name carried a lot of weight. He saw something special in the story and pushed for it to get made. Thanks to him, Universal Pictures finally agreed to give it a shot. Even then, Universal wasn't totally convinced, but Spielberg's support gave them just enough confidence to say yes. Without that push, Back to the Future might have never made it past the script stage. It's kind of wild to think how close the movie came to not existing at all. Now it's seen as a classic, loved by generations, with sequels, merch, and non-stop nostalgia. Fox's tough schedule. Michael J. Fox, who eventually made the role famous, was always director Robert Zemeckis and producer Bob Gale's top pick, but casting him wasn't easy. At the time, Fox was busy starring in the hit TV show Family Ties, playing the quick-witted conservative teenager Alex P. Keaton. The show's producers didn't want to let him go at first. They worried his absence would hurt their popular series. Because of this, Fox had to turn down the movie offer, at least for a while. With Fox unavailable, the role of Marty McFly went to Eric Stoltz, a talented actor known for his serious performances. Filming started with Stoltz in the lead and went on for several weeks. But as production moved forward, the filmmakers realized Stoltz's version didn't have the right mix of humor and lightness they wanted. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Bob Gale, the film's co-writer, said, "Stoltz is a good actor, but he is not Marty. Marty needed to be both sincere and funny, a teenager shocked by time travel but still charming and relatable." So the filmmakers made the tough call to recast the role. When Fox's schedule on Family Ties opened up, they jumped at the chance to bring him on board. Michael J. Fox agreed to take the role even though it meant a very tough schedule. During the day, he filmed Family Ties, and at night, he played Marty McFly in Back to the Future. For several months, he only slept a few hours each night, rushing between sets powered by caffeine, adrenaline, and a strong dedication to his work. Even with the exhausting schedule, Fox stayed professional and gave a performance that became legendary in film history. The exhaustion caused him to fall into a state of extreme stress, which affected his family at the time. "I was living two lives at the same time," Fox later said in a Michael J. Fox movie. "Every time I finished a shoot, I just wanted to lie down, but I had to laugh as if nothing had happened." Fox has also spoken openly about Eric Stoltz and the unusual casting situation. He never felt any hard feelings. Instead, he admired Stoltz's talent and commitment. The two actors have since developed a strong respect for each other, demonstrating the professionalism they both brought to a challenging situation. Fox has said that stepping into a role already in progress came with its own pressures, especially replacing someone as skilled as Stoltz. However, he was always grateful for the chance. He knew playing Marty McFly was a rare opportunity that would shape his career and connect with generations of fans. Fox's hard work and double duty created something truly special. Back to the Future became a cultural phenomenon, mixing clever science fiction with heartfelt storytelling and humor. His performance won praise for being genuine, possessing great comic timing, and conveying genuine emotion. He perfectly captured how a teenager feels when suddenly thrown into the past, confused but amazed. His chemistry with fellow stars Christopher Lloyd, Lea Thompson, and Crispin Glover helped create a believable and unforgettable group that viewers loved right away. Fox's hard work didn't go unnoticed. People in the industry admired how he managed two big roles without lowering his performance. Fans loved him both as Alex P. Keaton on TV and Marty McFly in movies, a rare win in both worlds. This time marked a high point in Fox's career and showed his determination and strong work ethic. Even now, years later, and despite his ongoing battle with Parkinson's disease, his legacy stands on that early example of courage, humility, and a true passion for storytelling. However, we're not done with Fox's story. Unfriendly first impressions. What many fans don't realize is that making Back to the Future wasn't as smooth as it looks on screen. Behind the scenes, there were casting changes, creative debates, and even some unexpected tension between the actors. One of the more surprising stories from that time is the rough beginning between Lea Thompson and Michael J. Fox. Today they seem like the perfect on-screen pair. Fox was the upbeat, lovable Marty McFly, and Thompson was his teenage mom, Lorraine. Both were caught in a very awkward time travel mix-up. But when Fox first joined the set, things weren't exactly friendly. The tension partly came from the film's original Marty McFly, Eric Stoltz. He had been cast months before Fox and had already filmed several weeks of scenes. During that time, he was Marty. Lea Thompson had been part of the cast from the beginning and had already built a working relationship with Stoltz. They spent time filming together and had become friends. Stoltz took the role seriously, maybe a little too seriously. He was known for his method acting, and his approach to Marty was intense and dramatic. That kind of dedication can be impressive, especially in a job as emotionally demanding as acting. So when the filmmakers decided to let Eric Stoltz go because his performance didn't quite fit the tone they wanted, it hit hard, especially for people like Lea Thompson, who had grown close to him. Thompson felt a mix of emotions. It wasn't just that a friend had been fired, it was also that he was replaced by someone she didn't fully respect at the time. Michael J. Fox was already a big TV star due to family ties, but in the early 1980s, television and film were seen as very different worlds. Movie stars were considered a level above, and TV actors often had to fight to be taken seriously in Hollywood. Thompson has since shared in interviews that she thought of herself as a movie star and saw Fox as just a TV star. That view created a bit of distance between them right from the start. She wasn't rude or openly unfriendly, but there was definitely a wall between them in those first days. Plus, the set was tense after the sudden casting change. The pressure was high, scenes had to be reshot fast, the schedule was tight, and everyone knew they had to deliver a hit. Meanwhile, Fox was working double shifts, filming Family Ties during the day and Back to the Future at night. He was exhausted and barely running on sleep. But even with all the stress, Michael J. Fox brought a completely different energy to the set. He had a natural charm, sharp comedic timing, and a laid-back personality that slowly began to change the mood of the whole production. At first, Lea Thompson wasn't sure how to respond. She had gotten used to the serious tone Eric Stoltz brought to Marty, and Fox's more playful, lighthearted style took some getting used to. But as they filmed more scenes together, especially the now famous moments in the 1950s where Lorraine awkwardly flirts with Marty, something changed. Thompson started to see that Fox's humor was essential. His timing was spot on, and he had a rare talent for making even the strangest moments feel emotionally real. That shifted the entire tone of the film in the best way. Where Stoltz had brought weight and seriousness, Fox brought energy, humor, and heart. And that turned out to be exactly what the story needed. Christopher Lloyd almost said no. It's almost impossible to imagine Back to the Future without Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown, the wild-eyed scientist with messy hair, a lab coat, and a voice that could go from a whisper to a shout in a second. His performance became iconic. But here's something many fans don't know. Christopher Lloyd nearly passed on the role. He came very close to walking away from the project without giving it a real shot. I read the first 3 pages and thought, what the hell? Lloyd later said in an interview, but my wife said, you have to do it. This is the role of a lifetime. At the time, Lloyd was already a well-respected actor. He had earned praise for his stage work and had built a strong career in both film and television. Most people knew him as the oddball Reverend Jim from the hit sitcom Taxi, and he had also played dramatic roles in movies like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So when the script for Back to the Future landed on his desk, he wasn't exactly hunting for work. According to stories from the set, he gave the script a quick read and felt unsure. Maybe it was the time travel plot, the larger-than-life character, or just bad timing, but something about it didn't grab him right away. He actually tossed the script aside at first, thinking it just wasn't for him. It's kind of wild to imagine, but for a short moment, Christopher Lloyd was ready to say no thanks to what would become one of the most beloved movie trilogies of all time. But then, something changed. Maybe he gave the script another read with fresh eyes. Maybe someone close to him suggested he take a second look. Whatever the reason, Lloyd took a deeper dive into the story. And that's when things started to change. The idea of a teenager accidentally traveling 30 years into the past in a time machine built out of a DeLorean was not your everyday Hollywood setup. But it wasn't just the wild plot that pulled him in. What really convinced Lloyd to take the role was the chance to work with director Robert Zemeckis. At the time, Zemeckis wasn't a huge name yet, but he already had a strong reputation for bold, creative storytelling. Lloyd could tell this movie wasn't going to be just another silly comedy. It had heart, energy, and it had the chance to be something truly different. Lloyd later said that Zemeckis' passion and vision left a big impression on him. That was what finally sealed the deal. Once filming started, it was clear Lloyd had made the right call. He threw himself into the role of Doc Brown completely, creating a character who was brilliant, a little bit crazy, and totally unforgettable. His chemistry with Michael J. Fox, who played Marty McFly, was instant and electric. Together they became a dynamic duo that audiences around the world instantly connected with. Lloyd's version of Doc Brown was one of a kind. He blended mad genius with a kind, guiding spirit, and that mix became the emotional heart of the entire trilogy. He wasn't just the guy who built the time machine, he was the soul of the story. Looking back now, it's almost impossible to picture anyone else as Doc Brown. Lloyd's performance is so tightly woven into Back to the Future that it feels like the role was written just for him, and yet it almost didn't happen. If Lloyd had followed his first instinct and passed on the part, movie history could have gone in a totally different direction. It's one of those what-if moments that makes you realize how close we sometimes come to missing something truly great. In the end, Lloyd's decision to give the project a second chance became one of the best choices of his career. Back to the Future became a huge hit. It led to 2 sequels, a cartoon series, a video game, and even a stage musical. Through it all, Doc Brown stayed one of the most unforgettable and loved characters in movie history, and it all goes back to one choice. Christopher Lloyd gave the script another shot, and because of that, he helped bring a timeless story to life. The casting of Jennifer Parker. One of the coolest behind-the-scenes stories is about casting Jennifer Parker, Marty's girlfriend. Most people remember Claudia Wells in the role, but she wasn't the first pick. At the time, Melora Hardin was a young actress with a bright future. She had already worked in TV and movies and seemed like a perfect fit for Jennifer. Smart, pretty, and able to hold her own alongside the film's original lead, Eric Stoltz. The production was moving along with Stoltz as Marty and Hardin as Jennifer, and everything was going well. However, as filming continued, the tone didn't feel quite right. In the end, director Robert Zemeckis and producer Bob Gale made the tough decision to replace Stoltz with Michael J. Fox, their first choice all along. It wasn't easy changing the lead actor weeks into filming. When Michael J. Fox joined the project, everything changed. Unfortunately, that change caused a ripple effect. Other casting choices had to be rethought. Unfortunately, Melora Hardin got caught in that wave. Hardin's dismissal had nothing to do with her talent or how well she acted. Everyone agreed she was doing a great job. But standing next to Michael J. Fox, who is about 5'4" or 5'5" tall, she looked noticeably taller. The filmmakers worried this would look strange on screen, especially because Marty and Jennifer were supposed to be a romantic couple. Hollywood often focuses too much on appearances, and in this case, height mattered more than anyone expected. Even though Hardin could play the role perfectly, the visual difference led to her being let go. Claudia Wells, who was closer in height to Fox and had also auditioned earlier, was brought in to replace her. Getting dropped from a major movie like Back to the Future, especially after filming had already started, could be crushing. For many young actors, a role like that could launch their careers into the stratosphere. But Melora Hardin didn't let it stop her. She continued working steadily and built an impressive and varied career over the years. She went on to become well known in her own way, thanks to some standout roles on television. Most people today probably recognize her as Jan Levinson from The Office. She played a tightly wound, sometimes wild corporate executive who had a famously chaotic relationship with Michael Scott. That role brought her a whole new group of fans and showed just how talented and versatile she really is. She also had a recurring part on the hit show Monk, where she played Trudy, the late wife of the main character. Plus, she appeared in lots of other TV shows and movies over the years. Hardin's career has shown real staying power. While she didn't get to star in one of the most iconic movies of the 1980s, she definitely made her mark in Hollywood. In interviews, she has talked about being let go from Back to the Future. She admits it was disappointing at the time, but she doesn't seem bitter. Instead, she uses it as part of her story, a reminder that sometimes things don't go as planned, but that doesn't mean you won't find success. The casting changes during the making of Back to the Future shaped the movie a lot. Michael J. Fox gave Marty McFly a fresh and lively energy. Claudia Wells matched that perfectly as Jennifer, creating great chemistry on screen. The 40th anniversary reunion time really does fly, especially when you're talking about a movie all about time travel. In 2025, fans got an amazing treat when the main cast of Back to the Future reunited at Fan Expo New Orleans to celebrate the film's 40th anniversary. Michael J. Fox, Leah Thompson, Christopher Lloyd, Thomas F. Wilson, and even Huey Lewis all came together for what felt like a giant nostalgic party. It was like stepping back into the 1980s, only with a modern twist. The excitement in the air was impossible to miss. Michael J. Fox, who brought Marty McFly to life, was as sharp and funny as ever. He shared some hilarious behind-the-scenes stories, including wild stunts and the crazy filming schedule that made shooting such a wild ride. Listening to him talk about those early days reminded everyone why Marty is still such a beloved character. Leah Thompson, who played Lorraine McFly, reflected on how the movie shaped her career. She talked about how surreal it felt to see something she worked on so long ago still making such a big impact. She also shared how much fun it was to reunite with the cast and relive memories that felt like they had happened just yesterday. Christopher Lloyd, the one and only Doc Brown, was a standout at the reunion. His passion for the character hadn't faded at all. He talked about the challenges of playing such a quirky, brilliant scientist and how much he loved the story's mix of humor, heart, and sci-fi adventure. Christopher Lloyd truly appreciated how much fans still loved the movie. He seemed moved by the way Back to the Future continues to inspire new generations. Thomas F. Wilson, better known as Biff Tannen, brought his playful, villainous charm to the reunion. He joked about how fun it was to play the bad guy, and shared that people still recognize him as Biff everywhere he goes. His stories about working with the cast and crew were both funny and heartfelt. They gave fans a peek into how close the whole team had become during filming. And then there was Huey Lewis. He talked about how that song became forever tied to the movie. He laughed about how he never expected it to turn into such a big cultural hit. He said he felt lucky to be part of something that meant so much to so many people. The whole event felt like one big family reunion. The cast shared laughs, swapped stories, and showed real appreciation for the film that changed all their lives. However, it wasn't just about looking back. The cast and fans also discussed the lasting messages in Back to the Future, including themes such as friendship, courage, and how our choices help shape who we become. Even after 40 years, those messages still hit home. The movie's mix of humor, heart, and sci-fi adventure has turned it into a true classic that people keep coming back to, just like Marty kept coming back in that time-traveling DeLorean. The crowd in New Orleans proved that. Young fans, older fans, and everyone there had a story about what the movie meant to them. The 40th anniversary reunion wasn't just a trip down memory lane. It was a celebration of a film that continues to inspire and entertain. Watching the cast reunite, sharing laughs and memories, reminded everyone that some movies grow stronger with time. For those lucky enough to be there, it felt like a real moment in pop culture history. And who knows, maybe 40 years from now, we'll all be talking about the 80th anniversary and wondering where all that time went. Special symbols in the trilogy. The red life jacket Marty wears in the first film really stands out. A lot of people think it's just an 80s fashion choice, but it actually looks like a real-life jacket. Its bright red color, puffy shape, and high collar make many characters in the movie think Marty is a lost sailor. But the jacket also carries a deeper meaning. Marty is the one who saves his family from a future that was headed in the wrong direction. After he travels through time, his actions help his parents build a better life. His brother gets a decent job and the whole family escapes the unhappy situation we see at the beginning of the movie. In the second film, the Jaws 19 poster is another fun and clever detail. It's a joke that pokes fun at the long-running shark series that Steven Spielberg helped create. In the movie, Marty sees a 3D poster of Jaws 19 where a giant shark leaps out of the screen. The text below says it was directed by Max Spielberg, who is Spielberg's biological son. It's a light joke with a smart twist, looking back at the past while also making fun of where the future might go. The famous line, "Where we're going, we don't need roads," shows up when Doc takes Marty with him. But this line isn't just to sound cool. It shows a belief in progress and the idea that the future doesn't have to follow the rules of the past. Christopher Lloyd once told Entertainment Weekly, "I didn't expect a single line to become iconic, but it captures the spirit of Doc not being afraid to try things that no one else has tried." The name Statatler also appears in all three movies, though most people miss it. It's a small detail, but it ties the trilogy together in a fun and subtle way. In the first film, Stadtadler is the name of a bus company. In the second, it became the name of Biff's car dealership. In the third film, it changes again to the name of a horse-drawn carriage company. No matter how the timeline shifts, the name Stadtadler always stays connected to travel. It's a small but clever way to show where the characters are headed in their own lives. The name keeps a link between different time periods. Screenwriter Bob Gale told Empire magazine, "It's a small thing, but people notice it and they like it." Lorraine, Marty's mother, has an interesting clothing detail too. In a flashback scene, she wears a floral dress that matches the one Michael J. Fox's real-life mother wore in a family photo taken years later. This mix of the script and real life demonstrates how carefully the crew planned every detail. Jennifer, Marty's girlfriend, appears in both the first and second films, played by two different actresses. However, she wears almost the same outfit in both movies, despite the change in timeline. This isn't just to avoid script mistakes. It shows that Jennifer's character stays steady and normal, even when everything else around her is changing. Every detail in the Back to the Future films is carefully planned. Whether you watch the movies once or 10 times, you will always find something new to notice. It's this attention to detail that makes Back to the Future timeless, not just on screen, but in the minds of viewers. Parkinson's disease Michael J. Fox was becoming a big star on TV and in movies in the late 1980s. But just a few years after Back to the Future came out, he got shocking news. At the age of 29, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. This disease makes your hands shake and causes you to lose control of your body over time. At first, Fox kept his illness a secret. Only a few close friends knew about it. Going public was not something he planned. He said that paparazzi followed him everywhere, secretly filming and taking close-up photos, trying to catch his hands shaking or his face showing the symptoms. The pressure became too much and he had to speak out. "I didn't intend to go public with my illness at that time," Fox said in an interview with CBS's Sunday Morning. "But the photographers followed me every day. They wanted to have a picture of me catching me shaking." Fox's acting career slowed down over time. It wasn't because he lost his talent, but because his health made it hard to keep up with a busy filming schedule. At first, Fox struggled. He drank to forget his feelings of helplessness and even thought about quitting acting. But with the support of his wife and children, he found his strength again. He started the Michael J. Fox Foundation, which has become the world's largest group raising money for Parkinson's research. So far, they have raised more than $2.5 billion in donations. A few years later, Fox received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. This is one of the highest honors in the United States, given for his hard work and contributions to the community and medicine. Even with his health challenges, Fox stays positive. "I live with it, not let it take me," he once said. After taking 5 years off from acting, Fox returned with a special role in the TV series Shrinking. He starred alongside Harrison Ford, marking Fox's first time acting again and his first time sharing the screen with Ford, who is also facing health changes related to aging. About the trilogy, Back to the Future is a 1985 American science fiction film directed by Robert Zemeckis and written by Zemeckis and Bob Gale. It is set in 1985 and follows teenager Marty McFly, Fox, who accidentally travels back to 1955 in a time-traveling DeLorean built by his eccentric scientist friend Emmett "Doc" Brown Lloyd. In the past, Marty accidentally prevented his future parents from falling in love, which threatened his own existence. He must find a way to bring his parents together and return to the future. Gale and Zemeckis came up with the idea in 1980. After many failed projects, they hoped this would be their big success. However, more than 40 studios rejected the film, saying it wasn't edgy enough to compete with popular comedies at the time. After Zemeckis' success with Romancing the Stone in 1984, Universal Pictures agreed to produce the film. The movie was filmed mainly in California and at Universal Studios, finishing in April 1985. Due to positive test screenings, the release date was moved up to July 3, 1985. This caused a rushed post-production, with some special effects incomplete. Still, the film was a huge hit, earning over $381 million worldwide and becoming the highest-grossing film of the year. Critics loved the story, humor, and performances of the cast, especially those of Fox and Lloyd. The film earned several award nominations and won an Academy Award, 3 Saturn Awards, and a Hugo Award. Its theme song, The Power of Love by Huey Lewis and the News, also became very popular. Today, Back to the Future is considered one of the greatest science fiction films ever made. In 2007, the Library of Congress selected it for preservation in the National Film Registry. Its lasting popularity continues to inspire fans worldwide. Are you a fan of Back to the Future too? If you guessed some of these behind-the-scenes facts already, tell us in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more movie facts.